a regular segment where we bring on subject matter experts to tell us what's noteworthy in one of our core ArcGIS products.
And today we are happy to introduce our newest GeoGeek, Justin Brassard, who's joining us to talk about all things ArcGIS Enterprise. Justin, welcome to our GeoGeek family. Hey.
Woo! Welcome, Justin.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be a part of this family. I love Enterprise myself, so I'm going to love diving into this stuff.
Excellent. Well, since this is your first podcast with us, we need to get the quick bio. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Esri Canada.
Yeah, so my name is Justin Brassard. I'm currently a technical solution specialist with Esri Canada. So my journey's been relatively short so far with Esri Canada. I've been here about a year and a half to date. I essentially started my journey in GIS at McMaster, believe it or not. I started studying in business and soon discovered GIS, and I was like, oh, this is definitely it. This is going to be my career path. So then I ended up going to the Fleming postgraduate program for application specialists afterwards. And then here I am. Ever since I started using the Esri technology, I've kind of had a dream of working here. So dream come true. And now I'm here, I guess, right?
Very exciting. Yeah, welcome. And definitely love someone who's spent time in Hamilton. I'm a big Hamilton fan. Mark likes to make fun of it, but it's a great place to start your GIS journey. Well, since you're here, and I know we talked last year about updates to ArcGIS Enterprise, maybe you could tell us a little bit more, building on the fact we know there's new releases, but what about people who are trying to start using those? What is a good time for people who want to update to do that, to transition to ArcGIS, new versions of ArcGIS Enterprise?
Yeah, so very good question. I mean, that's really going to depend on various factors, right? And the main thing I like to start with is your organization ready for this, right? There's a lot of moving parts of it in ArcGIS Enterprise, and it's kind of one of those things that if you're not really ready to upgrade your deployment at that moment and ready for stuff to be down for a specific amount of time during the update, right? It's maybe not the best time for you. If you just want the added functionality, sometimes there's some workarounds you can do, other times not, which is completely okay. And you might have to go through with that update if you need to, right? But it's like I said, there's a lot of things you got to kind of consider. And one of the things I actually recommend a lot when you're looking to upgrading your deployment is to look at the retirement notice, right? So kind of note the version you're on and look at the future versions upcoming. And this is actually documentation in our ArcGIS Enterprise workspaces on our website. And you can actually kind of see, okay, well, what version is safe for me to kind of go to, and what versions are going to maybe come up and be retiring in the short-coming time, right? So trying to avoid those and maybe plan your upgrade around that, right?
Right. Yeah. So you raise an interesting question about versions. So I know you get this question a lot about what version should you go to? Should you just go to the latest? Version? What's sort of the best strategy for that?
That's definitely an option, right? Again, it's something to consider. It's like I said, once you upgrade your enterprise deployment, you got to think about it. You're upgrading server, you're upgrading portal, you're upgrading your web adapters. There's maybe some new .NET frameworks that you're going to have to involve in the space of updating your actual deployment, right? So there's various components to that, but it solely depends on what you're going to like and what your needs are out of ArcGIS Enterprise, right? So it's like I said, if you want the newest and greatest, you can obviously go to that newest version. That's completely okay, right? But you have to make sure that your organization's ready for that, right? You might not need all the newest content. So if you want something like ArcGIS Dashboards Classic, right, that's not available in versions 11.0 onwards, right? So if you still want that, you might have to stick behind in 10.9.1. But the thing that's nice about ArcGIS Enterprise is it's consistently being kind of updated, right? And you'll have like all these new apps kind of integrate all the old applications in some shape or form, right? So there's stuff that's always kind of interchanging and replacing one another so that you can have that functionality still. So I do want to mention though, if you're on a version that's as old as 10.6.1 or before 10.7x, we'll say, okay, you're going to have to do two upgrades. You're going to have to do an interim upgrade to get to the versions between 10.7x and 10.9x, okay? And then you can upgrade to version 11x. That's strictly if you want to upgrade to version 11x, obviously, right? So you can't, in other words, you can't really just do the jump from 10.6.1 or 10.5x, whatever, for example, straight to 11, right? If you're already in that range of the 10.7x, et cetera, to 10.9x, you can come in and make that update automatically. Otherwise, you're going to need two updates, so to speak. So
Right, makes sense. Thanks for clarifying that.
No
Definitely, there's a lot of versions of Enterprise, and if I'm looking to upgrade, I want to make sure that things are stable, things are working. Is there a specific version I should be upgrading to make sure things are stable in that process?
100%. So, I mean, there's no set version, right? I mean, typically you'll get your versions like 11.0, for example, 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, so on. 11.3 is not out yet, upcoming in the future, so stay updated for that. But those versions with the singular decimal place afterwards are going to be your major updates, we'll call them, okay? And then after that, with another decimal place added, so if we have, for example, 10.9.1, right? The 9.1 afterwards, so the one afterwards is essentially just like security patches, all that type of stuff, right? Bug fixes, all that type of stuff. So if you want the major functionalities added in, you could definitely go to the single decimal places, right? And another thing I do want to mention, if you're looking at kind of upgrading your development or production environments, right? It's important to remember that if you want to go to a stable, not even a stable, but like more of a jump to an enterprise deployment that has like less beta functionality, we'll call it, right? It's important to remember that the odd numbers are the ones that you want to go to. So 11.3 coming up, for example, is going to be a pretty safe bet for that. 11.1, right? The versions in between those have beta functionality, and those kind of get like fixed up throughout time, and then they get kind of solidified in those versions, such as 11.3 coming up. So.
Interesting. So think odd numbers as opposed to anything else.
Exactly.
I like that. All right. Now, I know a lot of our users front and center in their minds is ArcMap and sort of the deprecation of ArcMap in the next few years coming up here. So if you are using ArcMap, are you able to transition to Enterprise 11.0 or later?
Yep. So here's what I'm going to say about that. ArcGIS Pro has evolved over time to, in fact, incorporate so much functionality from ArcMap, right? If not more at this point with the current versions that we're on. So the basic publishing and like administrative workflows that you would kind of get out of ArcMap in Enterprise before version 11, you won't get that in version 11 onwards, right? So in other words, it's not really supported in version 11 onwards. We do highly suggest that you use ArcGIS Pro if you're looking to go into versions of ArcGIS Enterprise 11.0 onwards and kind of stick with that. And it's like I said, you don't really have to worry. Most of the functionality is going to kind of be there. And if not, I'm sure 99% of it will get added over time for the most part, right? Saying this, you could still use ArcMap, right? You can keep ArcMap downloaded on your desktop application as a desktop application, for example, and use it. It's just you're not going to get that full functionality out of enterprise workflows, right? So you're not going to be able to publish services anymore if you're on a newer version of Enterprise, stuff like that, right? So.
Absolutely. I think ArcMap, we've been singing its songs of goodbye today. We're time to move to the future. Time to say goodbye to ArcMap and move to ArcGIS Pro. Thanks so much for sharing this information about Enterprise with us, Justin. It's been great having you, and we're excited to have you on for more episodes in the future.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks for having me. We'll catch you soon.
And that was Justin Brassard, our newest Enterprise GeoGeek. He is officially a technical solutions specialist here at Esri Canada and was calling in from Bolton, Ontario.